things just fell apart. Things were not going well. People weren't happy. The label wasn't happy anymore. I was miserable, and it was just, you know what? And things got ugly. You know what? I'm done.
Vernomatic Productions.
Are you ready?
Live from the Metal Mayhem Studios in Rochester, New York.
We are gold. We are gold.
And heard around the world by metalheads just like you. This is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Heavy metal music.
Your weekly dose of metal music, interviews, album reviews, news, and more. Want to be part of the show? Send us a message through our website, metalmayhemroc.com, or hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Search Metal Mayhem ROC.
It's getting nice and heavy.
Now, welcome our hosts, John the Vernomatic Verno.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, and especially staying healthy. Tonight, we welcome a heavy metal legend, Metal Church founder Kurdt Vanderhoof. He's here to talk about the band's return and their new album, Dead to Rights. Now, this is a real story because not too long ago, Kurdt shut down the band completely, burned out, frustrated, and ready to walk away. But now, Metal Church is back. We get into how that happened, a new singer stepping in, and a lineup that includes David Ellefson and Ken Mary. We'll hit key tracks from the record, the writing, the feel, the flow, and how this album came together from start to finish. We discuss touring, set lists, balancing the classics with the new material, and what 2026 looks like out on the road. And we'll wrap up with a full reboot. What's next for Metal Church? And a great story at the end that you don't want to miss. So like the song says, start the fire, bring down the hammer. Kurdt Vanderhoof, Metal Church. I'm the Vernomatic, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC. All right, our guest today leads a band that just won't die, fortunately. Through the ups and downs, it keeps coming back. New album, Dead to Rights. Let's welcome to Metal Mayhem ROC, Kurdt Vanderhoof. Kurdt, how are you, buddy?
How's everybody? I'm doing awesome. Doing great.
The new one, I gotta say, it fits right in with those first two. Great job, man. Get us up to speed from the end of the last album to the beginning of this one.
Well, we had done some touring on Congregation of Annihilation, and we had just gotten back from Australia. And things just fell apart. Things were not going well. People weren't happy. The label wasn't happy anymore. I was miserable, and it was just, you know what? And things got ugly. You know what? I'm done. So I just shut the band down. I'm like, I'm not interested in doing this anymore. This isn't any fun. This is no fun. So, I mean, because again, bands at our level, the way the business is, you don't make enough money to put up with being miserable. You make enough to afford to do it. And then if you're doing it and having fun, then that's part of the pay, the way things are going, way things are now for, again, a band at our level. So, so it was just like, oh, this sucks. This is no fun. I'm out. So I just shut the band down, didn't announce anything because of the way, social media and the internet, stuff goes flying all over the place. And, and it's just like, nah, I'm just going to let it go to sleep. I'm done. And I continued to work with Rat Pack on my other side projects, the Presto Ballet, my prog band, and Hall of Flame, my rock and roll band, and working with other artists like Todd Michael Hall, and he's got a new album that we just finished. So I just was doing that. And so within probably a year and a half, 2 years-ish, I'm really bad with dates like that. I get a couple of MP3s sent to me from the record company, and they're two Metal Church songs, Start the Fire and In Mourning. So what's this? Completely unsolicited for me. And so I'm listening to Start the Fire, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's like, is this some unreleased David Wayne version I've never heard? I'm like, what the heck? Wow, this is crazy. And then listen to In Mourning, I'm like, that was really good too. Didn't know who it was. Turns out it was obviously Brian Allen, who, through the coercion of Todd Latore, a mutual friend from Queensryche, had been pushing him to do some demos and send him to Rat Pack. I was done. I was not planning on putting the band back together. I had enough. Another lineup change. No, I'm not doing that again. Yeah. So Anyway, so I heard that and I was like, well, if I ever put the band back together, this guy'd be a great singer. So, and I left it at that. And wow, it was great. So within a couple of weeks, I think, after that, I've heard through the record company, since Rat Pack was working with the Ellefson Soto project, Dave Ellefson expressed interest if I was ever going to put the band together, that he'd be interested. And I was like, whoa, now that would be cool. I mean, Dave and I have known each other forever. So so I was like, wow, well, that would be great. And then lo and behold, soon after that, Jeff Plate said, yeah, well, if you put it back together, I'd love to come back. I'm like, well, there you go. There's a line, because Rick was still involved. Rick and I are still in touch and great friends. And he wanted to, and he would be more than, so there it was. I didn't even intend it. I didn't try. I didn't pursue it. I didn't run auditions. I didn't alert anybody, that this is coming back together. So there it was. Anyway, so I started writing some songs. Slowly but surely, Jeff couldn't stay because of the Sabotage reunion. So, and that is great. I'm so happy for those guys and I'm happy for him. So more power to him. I'm thrilled for them. But then within a few days of him having to step back, I was in touch with Ken Mary. And Ken Mary and I are both Seattle refugees. And we've known each other since the beginning of time. When the Terry Date was working, I was working with Terry on the first Metal Church. Ken was working with Terry Date on the first Fifth Angel and played gigs, and we knew each other and everything. So that just made perfect sense. So he just came right into the picture without, again, the whole thing just came back together without any effort on my part. So I took that as a sign. So
yeah, it sounds like you're exchanging players, and it made it a little more appealing to move forward with this.
Well, I couldn't really say no to Dave Ellefson and Ken Marion, a guy who sounds like David Wayne, And it turns out I did know Brian. I didn't know anything about Vicious Rumors, but it turns out he's a Portland guy. And we had played a few shows back in the day with him, and he had a Judas Priest tribute band. So I did know who he was. I didn't know it at the time, because he used to look quite different. He was doing his Rob Halford thing, so he looked considerably different at the time. So, I didn't know. So the whole thing was like, well, I didn't really, this door just opened. I didn't even knock on it. It just happened. So there was like, all right. And being able to work with Dave and Ken, I mean, that's pretty killer,
Now, when you say worked with them, were these guys helping write it? Were they inputting?
Well, technically, I wrote all the songs on this record, but when it came time to record it, I was insistent that everybody put their stamp on it. Mm-hmm. Everybody, like Ken, you play the drums the way you want them to play. You want to play the way you hear it. I mean, again, working with those kind of that caliber of people, that you trust their instincts. They're pros. They're there for a reason. They know what they're doing, and I want some other people's input rather than just what's in my head, And so that was, okay, put your stamp on it. Dave, by all means, play it the way you want to play it. Do your thing. And Brian, this is how the lyrics go, and this is the rough melody, but you do you on it. And Rick and I have always done that. I'm the rhythm guitar player. Rick's the lead guitar player. So he always did that anyway. So it was, technically I wrote the songs, but everybody made it their own.
When you're writing it and you have this new, let's just say this new David Wayne sounding guy, did you write thinking maybe David Wayne era type Metal Church, or?
Well, I not really thought about it, but there was no way that it wasn't in my mind when I was writing going, okay, I can go down this road because, we could definitely go back and make something sound like classic Metal Church without overthinking it. But I think just knowing that Brian sings the way he does, because he was a big David Wayne fan, and Mike Howe, but he was heavily influenced, obviously, by David Wayne.
Yeah.
And Mike Howe when he was growing up. So, it had that sound. So it just kind of lent itself to old school Metal Church. And I think that came through with everybody that I'm talking to, and, people that are listening to it. They say it could have been the third David Wayne album.
It could have. Kurt, it could have. It was,
and I'm like, and that's wonderful. It wasn't necessarily designed that way, but I mean, consciously, but maybe it was subconsciously. So that's great. That works great. I like that,
So you have the new band together. How long did it take to write the material, get in the studio, record it? That whole period?
Once I got started, and I'm kind of this way whenever I'm writing, once I get flowing, it takes me a few days to get flowing with it. But once I get going, it took about a month to write it, to make demos of everything and get them to everybody. And then, yeah, it was, kind of pieced together here and there because that's how bands exist now.
Yeah.
So it took a while. It took about a month to write it and demo everything up and refine everything. And wrote about 15 songs. I always do that because then you have a couple of bonus tracks and then you have some backup songs in case some of the songs you think are killer turn out to be dogs, so you have all that, then you have extra stuff. But yeah, it took a couple months, I think probably, to put it all together. Yeah.
Well, I have some choice cuts from here, and I think they're killer. One of my favorite tracks is Feet to the Fire, My Nose.
Oh, cool.
That chorus really jumps out, just almost a sing-along song. How'd that come together?
I don't know. I just write. When it's time to write, I go, okay, I'm writing metal songs right now. And then I start, trying to find different grooves, different pockets, different riffs. And it's not too premeditated. Other than, okay, it's time to write Metal Church stuff. So I just write it. It wasn't, what I don't like to write it too premeditated. Like I said, I kind of like to keep the creative process as organic as possible. So, but because it was old school Metal Church, I did kind of want to draw from like early 70s metal and hard rock, the stuff that I grew up and made me want to play guitar with, so like Old Sabbath and, Deep Purple and those kinds of, things,
Well, you just said the magic word, because even though the next track, The Show, these two songs are in the middle of the album. It's a great 1-2 punch. The Show, great middle of the album 1-2 punch. The midsection, Kirk, that groove, almost Sabbath feel.
Yeah, cool.
I mean,
Great.
Really walk me through it. It's like that like volume 4 kind of Sabbath.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Well, I guess, because those records and that band was extremely influential on me, like anybody that's playing metal now. So yeah, and it came out because it could, again, I don't like and never really have made a metal church has always fallen through the cracks. We're not just a thrash band. We're not, with all the subgenres and everything, we've always just kind of been a heavy metal band. And I like that. So I like to keep things musical. I like to change things up a little bit and do some left turns here and there as long as it works, like Black Sabbath used to do. And I love that. They'd have a song and then they'd get to after the guitar solo and the song would change and it'd go completely somewhere else and never get back to the song. Yeah. But that was so cool. Or there's a breakdown in the middle of a song that does exactly what you said, where it's like, oh, that part's cool, where it's really not the whole song, it's just, change things up a little more interesting. So
I never put Metal Church in the thrash band category.
Well, we were part of that whole scene when it started, it was, us, Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax,
Oh, sure. You guys were in
that was all part of it. This was before everything got subgenred,
to death. But
yeah, right. Yeah.
No Memory. I'm just going to say it, Kurt. This needs to be in the live set.
Oh, okay. Right.
No, it has a live feel.
Well, that's great. I appreciate that. It's really a tough thing for a legacy band like us with, all this to cram enough music in to make everybody happy when you've got, a band that's been around for over 40 years.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to be leaning heavily on the classics because, I think a lot of people want to hear that. But I think because the response to this record has been so good, we'll definitely be doing 2 or 3 new songs. And a lot of that's going to be determined when we start rehearsing for the tour. We'll probably learn a bunch of them and see which ones work the best. So yeah, we shall see, certainly. But I love hearing that. I'm getting a lot of info from people about their favorite songs. So that'll help narrow it down.
Well, the last one is the last song on the album, My Wrath. Killer drums, great groove again, perfect closer. What made that song be the closer?
I don't know. I think because so many, a lot of people, think the album format, they'll just do streaming and hear one song here and there, one song here and there. I think when I record or write a record, I still think in terms of vinyl, of buying, side 1 and side 2. Yeah. And there's a flow to the record. There's the sequencing is very important, because I think about records that I love. If the sequencing was any different, it might not work as well. Yeah. So even though people listen way differently now, I think it just had that, there was just one last statement musically, because it's more of a straightforward, accepty kind of rock song kind of thing,
Well, everyone's getting off on that. Ken's going nuts. The guitar's leading. It's the vocals it was just a explanation point. So one last comment on the album. It's not that long, but it's easily digestible. It's the sequencing is there. It's, comes out of the gate with a fucking killer, the 1-2 punch. And there's really not a ballad. There's a slower song, but
right.
A great.
Well, that's the whole thing about some of, I'm sure you have the same thing about some of your favorite albums. When an album that you can listen to the whole way through, it takes you kind of on a journey. There's peaks and valleys and things like that. I still think that's great. I don't like making a one-dimensional record, and I don't think Metal Church really ever did. I mean, maybe in the metal scene there it is somewhat, but I mean, a lot of records now are just every song sounds. You're gonna, from start to finish, it's gonna be one-dimensional. It's gonna be boom all the way through. Which is fine if that's what you want to do. But I still like creating music, and I like, an album to be in a journey, so to speak, an experience, so there is ups and downs and mood changes and shifts and things, musical little passages here and there that make it interesting and make it musical and, with still being heavy.
Well, you have to make it interesting. I mean, there's only a certain number of notes. How many different riffs are you?
Yeah, right.
It's
I don't know. I think about that often. It's like, okay, when are we going to know that every song has already been written? When are we going to know? And it's like, I don't know if you ever know. I don't know if I don't know, because there's so many variables in it. Yeah, but it's I don't know, man. I've been very, very fortunate that I can be quite prolific. That doesn't mean everything I write is any good. I mean, I have a lot of songs and things I've written that nobody will ever hear. So it's not just easy, but I'm very, very grateful that I can write music. And it's what I love to do more than anything is create music. So.
Okay, so we talk about going live with the new singer. How do you approach the set list? You mentioned that you play the classics. Is there a different set of classics? Are there any David Wayne songs that you dust off because
Yeah, we probably will. I mean, on the last tour, we did a lot of deep dives into the older stuff, and that went over great. So I think maybe for this tour, they won't necessarily be dusted off, but they will be played because of the response, to the more deep dives, but we have to play, there's some you have to play. And I totally relate to that. If I go see a band that's been around forever, even though they have a new album out, it may be really good and I really like it, I still want to hear the old stuff that made me like the band in the first place. So, I understand that. But I think, again, the response to this record has been so good. We're definitely going to have to put probably more new songs in the set than we probably expected. So yeah, it'll be the old stuff. It'll be all the stuff that Metal Church is known for, and then we're going to figure out what songs off the new album really work live.
That's awesome that people like myself, they get in advance, and you're able to get that immediate feedback before the major public gets it. That's
right.
Is that something different? Has it always been like that, or are you getting more feedback from outlets like myself that are fortunate enough to get the advance and really put the effort in to absorb it and then talk to you?
Yeah, well, no, it's considerably different, and that's the advent of the internet because of this kind of situation, the podcast and all that stuff. So you get immediate feedback right away, rather than just waiting, going out and playing and then reading in a magazine. I do miss magazines though, but reading in a magazine, the response. So you get it immediately, and we're getting input right now. I love this song and I really like this song and I like this song, and that's great information to have to put a set together. That's really valuable.
I'll share this with you. We talked to a lot of artists, and a lot of them share with us. They're like, listen, you're our voice now, and I will take this interview. I will repurpose it on our YouTube channel, on our radio show, on our website with a blog. So it's a multi-facet rollout of the content. And when you start multiplying that by other media outlets, you get your word out more. Let me ask you this. A lot of bands now are doing sporadic rollouts. Instead of releasing an album, they may chop that 6 or 7 songs up into 6 or 7, or maybe like 4 or 5 single releases through the course of a year. Was that ever an option? Or
I didn't really ever even know about that, and that wouldn't have occurred to me. I make a record, and I think in terms of albums, whether it's a CD or vinyl, whatever, but here's a piece of work. Here is with artwork and liner notes and everything that is part of the experience. So, I have trouble with the whole streaming thing. I mean, if people do that, that's fine. I don't, because I like to be able to, I like physical media and I listen to vinyl anymore anyway, old vinyl. If I'm listening to new stuff that's recorded digitally, I'll have a CD because that's the format it's designed for. But I'm a big fan of listening to the album and looking at the artwork and putting it all together so it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, we're old school.
That's the way I put it together. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
old guy here. Yeah.
I'm in my late 50s, and you're like, when did this happen? But great stuff. Before we get into, we'll talk about the tour. We start a U.S. tour in mid-July, but you're going over to Europe. Talk about touring.
Yeah, we're doing, like 10 shows, I believe, in the Northeast and some shows in Canada, finally. And so we're just doing that before we go to Europe to do festivals for a few weeks. So we're doing festivals, and we've got a couple of shows with Black Label Society and Testament, and doing some shows with our buddies Armored Saint.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then we come back, and then we have a little bit of time off, and then we're doing a few shows in the Midwest. We're playing Louder Than Live. We get to share the stage with Maiden and Alice Cooper and Megadeth, and then a few other shows around that. We got a whole bunch of other stuff that's in the works right now, but none of it's confirmed.
Yeah, you do have a Rochester, New York date up in Montage that I'm excited about.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We played. Yeah. So
Oh yeah, we'll be there. But
cool.
Quickly on that, how did you dug up Heathen? How did Heathen get on that bill?
They are through our booking agent. Apparently they've been back together too.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've known those guys forever. Yeah. So it just made perfect sense. So yeah.
Yeah, listeners, if you're in the Rochester, New York area, a great bill. It's very cheap. Get down there and support this. Let me ask you something about these big Louder Than Life festivals. There's so many bands. Do you ever have a chance is there a backstage? Are you able to mingle, or is everyone in and out?
Well, in Europe, those are the ones I compare it to. And I was just talking to somebody about how great it is to be doing a festival in America. So I think it's pretty much the same. I think, there's a big backstage because there's so many people there. I think a lot of people hang out. I don't think there's really one size fits all for that, but I think everybody hangs out because, I definitely want to be there because when you're playing festivals, you're also playing with a lot of bands that you like. So you want to see them and you want to talk to them and say hi and, so yeah, I mean, I think that's just kind of standard. So it's kind of like a big camp out with a lot of music,
Yeah, well, a lot of I forgot who I was speaking with, but it was Junior, David Ellefson. He was talking about the Ozzy over the summer. And he said it was like a rock and roll metal reunion.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'll bet.
You finally have a chance those are your colleagues and your contemporaries. So
absolutely.
On a personal note, when you run into someone, some band that you toured with years ago, does it all come back real quick? And you're like,
yeah, it does sometimes. Yeah, it really does. It's like, dude, remember the time where blah, 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 So there's a lot of that going on, which is really a wonderful thing. It's just, that makes it all that much more fun to do it,
Yeah, that's the fun part because in this day and age, yes, people still keep in touch because it's, but I love running into someone. I'm like, dude, I feel like we're connected, but now we're in person.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Great. I'm glad you're still at it, man. You're healthy and and all that kind of stuff, So yeah, no, that's really cool because a lot of us, I think we're all kind of in the same boat where none of us actually thought that we'd still be doing it after all these years. So the fact that we still get to and we want to share that, and enjoy it,
How are you feeling? The took you
Much,
down.
much better. Yeah. I mean, it's a battle. I mean, it got really bad there for a while, but in the 2 years that I've been off, been doing a lot of physical therapy. So I'm doing much better, and I've learned a lot of techniques to stay that way. So
Kurdt, isn't that the truth? It took us all these years to
yeah.
last November I had a heart procedure done. And
Oh boy.
oh well, it was I'm fine, but now you watch the diet, now you exercise, now you do all this. It's like, where was this 30 years ago?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's getting old is not for the weak. Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Last couple questions. When Metal Church, when you shut it down, outside of your other projects, what was your 9 to 5? Was there what
That's
else?
it. That's it. Yeah, music. I run my own recording studio, and I make music. So I'm very, very fortunate. Certainly not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but I am able to maintain. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
So that's really important. So no, I'm very fortunate in that. So yeah, that's the 9 to 5 is making music.
What's your biggest surprise and plus out of this reboot of Metal Church that you weren't anticipating?
Any of it, all of it. I mean, again, just the fact that it happened again, because I had, there was a year and a half at least where I just was, it's done. Metal Church was great. I'm proud of it, actually, but I got to move on. It's like it's done. So that in itself, the fact that we're sitting here talking and there's a new record out that people seem to really enjoy, that in itself is the thing I didn't see coming at all. So
you never second thought it after you calmed down and you're like, well, geez, it's really done.
Yeah, no, not after the way it ended, and not after the way it kind of just the way it just kind of turned out. It was like, and I'm okay. I mean, I have no regrets. I mean, what a great history, and I did. To be able to do this band for 40 years, any band, I got no complaints. I'm fine, and I still get to make music. So no, it just was like, no, that's it. I'm comfortable with that. That's good.
Yeah.
And then this happened, and I was like, wow, okay, well, I guess I'm not done.
So where do you go with this? It's just take it as it goes.
Take it as it goes, but I think everybody's kind of initial vibe is let's keep going. Everybody's intent is that, okay, this is a new chapter in the band, and we're talking about writing new material and getting a new album ready, and it's already started. So now we're in the getting out and playing live phase, and in the meantime I'll be thinking about okay, a new record, and and okay, now but writing a new record with all these guys. So
yeah. All right. Well, Kurdt, I really appreciate you sharing this. It was
my pleasure.
Yeah. Again, Dead to Rights, Friday, April 10th, Rad Pack Records. And get up to metalchurchofficial.com. Tickets for the shows, merchandise. There's some really cool packaging coming out.
Oh yeah, definitely some great bundles. Yeah,
I saw this one thing where there are cassettes involved.
Yeah. Of all things.
I gotta ask you this. I gotta ask you this. How many of those Metal Church neck braces did you guys sell in the day?
I think we only made about 100 of them.
Really?
Yeah, it just was like, I don't think, because I didn't think we'd really, they would, again, we made our first record. We didn't know anybody'd care. We just did it for fun.
Well, it had the flyer in there, the Metal Church neck brace.
Yeah, I actually got one. I've got one. Yeah.
You got it handy? Or is it
No, I don't, but I should have thought, I should have thought of that. But yeah, I mean, I keep thinking about maybe we should make those again.
You should,
That'd
man.
be hilarious.
I can't overemphasize enough. I'm going to just share the story one more time. Back in the day, they used to have these metal shows on Sunday afternoons because everyone that was going there. Now, listeners, this was back in the golden age of metal, 84, 80.
Yeah, right.
And this is when it was exploding. And we would go, they would promote these shows on Sunday afternoons, and we would go down there, and it was Metal Church. And I remember the anticipation of the band coming out, and then the fake dry ice coming out of a little smoke machine. And then you guys the band comes ripping out to Hitman. And
Yeah, right. Yeah.
it's still a great opener, and I go to it all the time on the radio show.
That's nice. Cool. Yeah, man. That was old school heavy metal. Smoke and machines and lights and all that stuff, all the fun stuff.
So if you're a fan of the old Metal Church or all Metal Church, the new one, Dead to Rights, April 10th. Kurdt Vanderhoof, take care of yourself. We'll see you on tour.
You betcha, man. Thanks a million. Hope to see you in Rochester.
I'm the Vernomatic, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Metal for life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.